studios. This is After 9 with Scott and Kat.
Hey now.
Hello.
It's going to be a fun episode here. We got some DMs that we're going to dive into on this episode of After 9 because occasionally they come in and we don't see them because sometimes they go to our filtered messages and we get DMs every day, but not all of them get seen every day. So we're going to go and read some of those a little bit later on this episode of After 9. How are you, Kat?
I'm doing great, thank you. Very good.
Got a whole bunch of things that I'm going to blow through first before we get to the DMs. First off, this came down late yesterday morning. The Ford government has announced they're going to suspend the driver's license of people found guilty of some auto theft offenses in legislation that'll be tabled later this week. They say they want to send a message to auto thieves. If passed, the government says the legislation would apply to people convicted of vehicle theft under the criminal code. First offense, 10-year driver's license suspension, increasing to 15 years for a second offense, and a lifetime ban for those convicted 3 times of stealing a vehicle. The first criticism I hear from everybody is all the evidence we need to increase the number of civics classes that people take in school. Why don't you put them in jail instead of taking away their license? They don't care if they don't have a license. And while I do agree, most of these little pricks don't.
I don't know if they care either. I do agree with that. I don't know if that's a deterrent or not.
Yeah, I don't think so. But it's really kind of the only thing the province can do because the criminal code is, again, Justin Trudeau's purview. This is a federal thing. So in order to put them in jail longer, there would need to be some changes on the federal level. Taking away their driver's license, I don't think they care. They're still going to steal those cars. But there is going to come a time when their life of crime as a younger person is behind them and they want to do normal things in life as an adult, maybe after they've had kids and settled down. Everybody eventually does. Maybe then not having a driver's license would be an issue. What I'm wondering is, it's a little vague, though, the wording. First offense, 10-year suspension. If you commit a second offense, it's 15 years. Is that 15 on top of the 10, or does the 10 just get carried over to 15?
Oh, 15 additional would be, that's pretty much life.
Pretty much.
No driver's license for life. But keep in mind, if these are criminals who don't give fucks, they will continue their life of crime with or without a driver's license, as there are people right now driving around without proper driver's licenses and license plates and things not up to date. This happens all the time.
I'll say it again. There are thousands of people driving around right now, probably more than at any point in history, with no insurance.
Yeah, that's another one, right?
They can't afford it. Bills have just become so high and the cost of living here is so high that people are they got to sacrifice something. And first thing to go is the insurance. So there's a lot of people on the roads that under normal circumstances wouldn't be. As for these criminals that are stealing all the cars, I tend to think that at some point they're going to grow up and they're going to want to have a driver's license for whatever reason. They just won't be able to under this. I'm also wondering if it applies to young offenders, because we know that the gangs recruit young people to steal these cars because they're protected under the Youth Criminal Justice Act and they'll be out the same day.
Now I'm just fucking around here at the top of my mind here as I think about anything the province can do. What's in the province's power? Because you mentioned federal versus provincial. It's all true. What if we take away their health cards?
We're not allowed to do that.
See, this is where I would love to take over and say, fuck those people. You're paying for your health care now. That health card, you don't have the privilege that everybody else does if you fuck around.
Interesting.
It doesn't necessarily have to be after the first time. Yeah. You know what? Fuck it. It depends on what they've done, okay? That said, if this is the first offense for a minor, shit happens. You make bad choices. You blah, blah, blah. But if I'm talking about someone who's like a hardened criminal, let's just start pulling the health cards. You know what? You can't get health care here. Let's watch you suffer. If you get something, good luck. Go somewhere else and pay for it. Or maybe we start up something here where you have to pay for it if you're a bad person. And essentially, it's a hospital and doctor's office filled with people who have to pay for it that are bad people. I don't know. We have to start doing something to deter people from being assholes.
Well, there's deterrents are always something we're going to discuss. I don't think the thought of losing your license for 10 years, 15 years, or life is going to deter a single car thief. But it is nice to see somebody doing something, whether it's effective or not. I can't see it being a bad thing anyway to take away their driver's licenses. However, we still haven't figured out what it is. With impaired driving, apparently the provincial government is also going to introduce in this legislation that on a first offense conviction for drunk driving or impaired driving, mandatory ignition interlock. It'll be the same as the 90-day license suspension, and then you lose your license for a year and all this sort of thing. It would be mandatory that you get the ignition interlock. Again, I don't know if that's really a deterrent, because people are not deterred by deterrence if they think they won't get caught. And there's a lot of reason to think they won't get caught. We know about the drunk drivers we catch. We don't know about the ones we don't catch. How many of the people out there are drunk at any given time, or high, or fatigued? Same thing with car thefts. We hear about some of them, not nearly as many as happen. When 14 cars are being stolen an hour, that's pretty fucking bad.
Yeah, it's a problem.
And we don't hear about all of them on the news. So I'm thinking that most of these thieves are getting away with it, and that's the best reason to keep going. You did it. You made money. You didn't get caught. I have to think getting caught is going to be the biggest thing, and that comes down to more police on the ground, and none of the municipalities seem to want to fund more police officers. If anything, they're trying to cut cop budgets, and I don't understand that at all. The ignition interlock thing, I don't know if that'll be effective. There's so many different ways around it, the ignition interlock. You just get somebody else to reach over and blow. Maybe it stops some drunk driving. Maybe it does. Or maybe it's meant to be a punishment in the form of rehab. I'm not sure. But either way, the fine folks at the top there are on top of this. They're trying to figure out ways to make the roads safe.
Is there a charge for those people who would blow into someone else's interlock system when they're drunk?
Yep.
There should be.
Yeah, I believe it is a charge.
Okay, good.
I'm not sure what it would be.
Yeah, no, I'm just curious.
Fraud?
Yeah. Something like that, right? Okay, good. I'm just making sure. I just thought of it now when you said that.
Yesterday, we had another announcement from Doug and Justin, which sounds like a horrible boy band, by the way. They were in Port Colborne, just south of Niagara there.
Lovely.
Announcing another EV battery component manufacturer. And there's two pieces of audio I want to play for you. If you get a chance, though, go back and watch this news conference. CPAC has got it. A lot of the news sites have got it. Watch this, because there's various points where you can see Doug Ford, and I'd love to know what was on his mind when these comments were made. There's one point where I think he's saying, oh, fuck, here we go. There's another point where I don't think he realized that the Japanese company, I believe it is, that's opening this up. It's in connection with Honda, this new one.
Yeah.
He came out and talked about jobs, and I don't think the premier wanted to hear that question either. I'd love to know what was on his mind, but here's a reason why. Listen to this great question.
Hi, Laura Stone, Globe and Mail. Prime Minister, I want to ask you about leadership. Polls have put you 20 points behind the Conservatives, and it doesn't seem to be getting better despite your recent communications push from your budget. The public appears to have an overwhelmingly negative view of you personally, and you seem to have lost control of the conversation on some of the key issues that Canadians care about. I think the public might be looking at you and your position right now and thinking, for the good of the Liberal Party, why is he staying on?
Thank you for your concern, Laura. But as you see, we're here investing in good jobs for today and for generations to come. The world is in a challenge.
We're handing out billions of dollars to extremely profitable companies is what we're doing. It's called corporate welfare.
Also, I wonder if that felt good for her.
I bet it did. Laura Stone, I'll give Laura Stone all the credit in the world. She writes for the Globe, but I feel like she's generally fairly centrist. Center left is probably the best way to describe Laura, but her writing style is fantastic, and she is, for the most part, fairly fair. But another question came up, and they were asking about why they would set up here and what it was that made them pick Port Colborne, Ontario, Canada, over the rest of the world. And one of the representatives from the Japanese company that's opening this plant stood up to answer the question. And this is where Doug and Justin both looked very fucking uncomfortable.
So frankly speaking, Canada was our third country to investigate opportunities for investment.
しかしながら調査をすればするほどやはりその政府、連邦政府は州政府あるいは市の熱意が非常に伝わってきたということと、非常に優秀な人材がカナダにいるということが分かってきました。
But as we progress in our investigation, little by little, we have learned that there is a huge enthusiasm coming from the federal government, provincial government, and the local municipal government. And also, we have.
In other words, let me translate for the translator here. Canada was the third choice to build this. But once the government stepped in and offered them billions of dollars, they said, all right, well, maybe we'll go to Ontario then.
We'll take your colorful bills.
Let me ask you a question. If these EV batteries, and I'm not sold on this because I don't think that we should be giving out taxpayer money to very profitable companies. Another fine example is just yesterday, they announced they're giving $1.7 million to Etal Pasta.
Really?
The Etal Pasta plant in Brampton says that with the $1.7 million, they'll be able to stay in business and maintain the 10 jobs that are there at that plant in Brampton. We're paying this company $170,000 per job to work at the pasta factory. And by the way, Etal Pasta made money last year. They were profitable. This corporate welfare's got to stop.
What is with it? Between this and the freezer stories, I don't understand what's going on here.
We're giving out way too much money to these corporations, and I can't figure out why or how you get to be chosen to be one of them. It's weird. But with the case of these EVs, seems like the hype on EVs, especially in Ontario, has really died down. I feel like there's less people interested in EVs now than there was a year ago or 2 years ago or 3 years ago because there's real serious questions about the charging infrastructure, how well these batteries work in the cold, the cost to replace the battery if something goes wrong. All good questions. So I don't know that Canadians are ready to go all in on buying EVs right now, but for some reason, Doug and Justin don't understand that. They're giving out billions of dollars to these companies, which are extremely profitable companies, and I can't figure out why. But one thing I would ask is whether it's these Japanese people that are opening up this plant in Port Colborne or the new battery plant in St. Thomas or Alliston or any of the other ones. If it's such a successful business model, why do they need government money? You know, if they're convinced that we're going to make billions and billions and billions of dollars off of this, why do they need a handout from the government? If I were given an opportunity to invest in a business that they tell me is going to be the next big thing, it's going to be so profitable, we're going to make a fortune, I'll put my own money into that and I'll risk it because it sounds like a good investment. We've put all this money in and we don't even own it. These extremely profitable companies are taking billions of dollars and we don't own it. I don't understand why. But anyway, that's the corporate welfare segment for today. Here's hoping that cooler heads will prevail and we'll start being responsible with money. We had an unfortunate resignation yesterday, Kat. The unfortunate part is that it didn't happen sooner. The lead cheerleader from COVID, Dr. Eileen Davila, Chief Medical Officer of Health for Toronto, says she is stepping down.
Okay. What's the reasoning?
I'm not really sure.
Oh, she didn't give one? Interesting.
She's been through a lot. And just for those who don't remember, Dr. Davila is the slow talk. You know, I've got a little bit of audio from Dr. Davila here. I think this is a good little
Careful,
trip.
though, guys. This might be a trigger.
Trip down memory lane.
Yeah.
Everything from the COVID-19 pandemic to changes in public health funding to the drug toxicity epidemic and the mental health crisis that is currently in our midst. And through it all, our focus here at Toronto Public Health, our unwavering focus, has been on protecting the health and well-being of Torontonians.
Yeah.
However, after much deliberation, I've decided to announce my resignation from this post, effective December 31st, 2024.
Hallelujah.
This was not a decision that I took lightly.
It's hard to walk away from a $500,000 a year salary to be a complete menace. This is the woman who was responsible for the vaccine passports. This is the woman who led the charge on all of those COVID restrictions. This is the woman who wanted schools closed down. This is the woman who led the charge to the point where we had the most draconian restrictions in the world. And she was one of the main reasons why. She joined in the shaming. She was behind the shots. This is the woman who most recently was the one who wanted Toronto to legalize illicit drugs like BC did. And now BC is already, after a year, said, oh, we don't want this anymore. This is not good. She's not backing down from it. She still wants that in Toronto. It's amazing that the person who's in charge of public health can be that reckless and irresponsible to the point where they want heroin and meth legal and being used on the street and on subways.
Yeah, I do recall as soon as you played that too, I was like, oh, yes, of course.
That
How can you
slow
forget?
talking, condescending I'm not going to say it, but Dr. Eileen Davila, your time has come. Get out. Get out.
However, after several months of heartfelt discussions with my family and taking some time to think about and to reassess my future path, I'm ready to embark on the next chapter of my professional life and to spend more time with my family.
Where's she going? World Economic Forum, UN, health. What is she? She'll be doing something she helped get a lot of the shit done that the powers that be wanted done during COVID. She's going to get rewarded with an even better position. No doubt.
Which will be interesting to see, because if she's spending more time with her family, then it shouldn't be any of those things that you mentioned. If that's the purpose and the reasoning.
World Health Organization. I'll bet you that's where that is going.
And by the way,
I cannot...
Yeah, no, I'm just wondering what she did on a daily basis.
Nothing.
Now, since COVID, I mean. I know COVID was busy for a lot of people. I get that part. And you know what? Whether you like the people's choices or not, they worked tirelessly. I have no doubt about it. But as of late, how's that look? What does that look like? How many vacation weeks do you get in that job?
I'd love to know that. And that massive salary,
right?
too.
And the salary's good.
Apparently, we've got a huge shortage of doctors. You never see Dr. Davila there go in and roll up her sleeves and take somebody's temperature in the ER. Same with Dr. Kieran Moore. The fuck does he do all day? He's our provincial chief medical officer of health. Are all the chief medical officers, and every region seems to have one, are they practicing doctors? Are they actually out there in the front lines doing shit? Or are they just sitting in an office collecting a salary?
Yeah.
I'd like to know that too.
Thank you enough for all your support over these years.
It wasn't support. We wanted you to go sooner.
And for everything that we have done together, I am incredibly, incredibly grateful. To the people of Toronto, thank you for your support throughout these years. I wish you all the very, very best. And I know that my colleagues here at Toronto Public Health
can do better than you did.
Will continue to do their utmost, as they always do, to safeguard, protect, and promote the health of this great city. Thank you.
Bye. I'm not playing the rest of that. You know what is shocking, though?
That's a long leeway, by the way. December? Did she say the end of this year?
Why?
That's
Get out now.
No, but that's like over 6 months you're still
off.
in the position.
We don't need you here for that. No.
Did you train someone for that?
Put an interim in place now, and you leave. If you're leaving, leave. She probably gets some sort of a weird pension if she hangs out till the 31st or something like that.
It just seems weird.
You know, Dr. Theresa Tam is still employed as the national chief medical officer?
Yeah.
When's she going? She's got to be getting close to going soon. And where is she now? We
I don't know.
never hear from that woman.
What are these people doing all day? Like, what does your day-to-day look like? What do you do?
Great questions.
I would love to know. Let's bring in the cameras. Let's follow you for a bit. See what you're up to.
We're almost at the DM part. We're going to get to that. But there's just a few more things that I want to blow through because there's a few things that stand out. Canadians who applied to be part of the class action lawsuit against Lifelabs are probably very, very disappointed. Any day now, you'll get an e-transfer as part of the settlement. This will be from KPMG Accounting, who is administering this class action payout. Lifelabs was ordered to pay millions after a 2019 data breach allowed hackers to access the personal information of up to 15 million people, mainly in BC and Ontario. 900,000 claims joined this class action lawsuit. Everyone is going to be getting $7.86.
I'm glad I didn't end up going for it.
$7.86, but there's a $2 processing fee, so your take home is $5.86 from this court action.
Was it even worth filling out the forms and stuff?
But this is the thing. I mean, they'll justify it by saying, well, it's a big amount to Lifelabs. How it pays out to individuals is neither here nor there. And I agree, it is a big amount, but how much money is Lifelabs making?
You know what's so true? I don't even know what a blood test goes for.
What does the province pay them per blood test?
Yeah, because we don't see it as you know, where you just give your health card. You don't see anything transactional. There's nothing transactional there other than here's my health card. So I have no idea. And for some people, they go back numerous times. Like I think about my pregnancies. I had a high risk pregnancy. I was there 3 times a month.
Wow.
You know, I had to constantly go there, and I'm thinking cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching for them. And you know, their waiting list is usually quite long. They're a very busy place.
They're going basically 24/7 processing
Which
these
is great.
blood tests.
Hey, and every experience I've ever had, I will say, is fantastic. Never had a terrible experience.
By the by, they're also a private company. So this is another piece of privatized healthcare that we, the taxpayers, pay for and don't even think of it. Speaking of which, because you're right, we don't get an itemized bill when we get healthcare. I almost think we should. I think we should be able to go into our Service Ontario account and look at our healthcare spending and be able to see, hey, listen, I know how much came off my paycheck last year. Let me see how much of that went to healthcare for me personally.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people would be shocked at either how high it is or how low it is. But anyway, that's not the point here. The fee is ridiculous. Charging people $2 to send them an e-transfer, at least give them the full $7.86. Like, let's be honest here, people. This is stupid. And second off, how is that worth it? People got screwed. Their personal healthcare information got shared on the dark web because of something that Lifelab was responsible for. And all you're entitled to is $7.86? Come on. People deserve better.
What did they do? What was ever done with that info, though?
I don't know.
Like, I mean, for me, I just was like, okay, yeah, I was a part of that in some way. Yeah, you could check out how low my fucking iron is. Good for you. Like, I don't know what you're supposed to do with that information. Like, I don't understand.
Canada's Wonderland has announced details on what they're calling an epic fireworks display this coming long weekend. They're calling it one of the biggest and best displays this year. The show is going to be 15 minutes long, set to music. It'll feature 6,000 individual explosions, reaching heights of up to 800 feet. The show starts Sunday at 10 p.m. I'm not a huge fireworks person, but that all sounds like something I'd like to see. That sounds pretty impressive.
That does sound impressive. Really good. Yeah. And this is like a one-off, or are they planning to do something big for like a Canada Day or something like that? Or are they just saying for now this is the special thing that they're doing for the long weekend?
Yeah, that's the way they're leading it. We know they're going to do something big for Canada Day and so on and so forth.
They usually do.
For now, I mean, hey, cool. Something to look forward to if you're near Wonderland. The beer store. I've never seen them do a promo of any kind. Usually it's all, hey, buy this case of Carlsberg and you get a free pair of socks.
Or a koozie or a weird shirt.
Yeah. Buy the Coors Light and you get a Raptors t-shirt. You know, stuff like that. But those are with the individual beer brands. The beer store itself now is offering up 2 fours of KD mac and cheese cups for the long weekend. The beer store says many Ontarians celebrate Victoria Day weekend by picking up a 2-4 of beer. So they're partnering with Kraft Canada to offer free 2 fours of KD mac and cheese cups. So you can, and I quote, and it's going to sound gross, crack a warm one with your cold one.
I don't like it. But okay, so free. Hang on a sec. So let's backtrack. Do you have to buy a 2-4 in order to get a free 2-4?
You know, I'm trying to find the small print, and I can't.
Interesting.
But they certainly imply that if you buy a case of beer, they'll give you the mac and cheese.
Got it.
Now, they also say GTA locations. But then they specify as far north as Muskoka and surrounding area. So I'm wondering, is it really just Southern Ontario and they just don't want to include Ottawa area? Is it going to be like in our neck of the woods or where? Because not every beer store is going to have it, but quite a few will.
Okay.
I think that's neat. I just can't figure out how KD became the first partner of the beer store.
No idea how that came to. Somebody got drunk at like, someone in the consortium there got hammered with someone from Kraft. And then they came up with this idea.
Hey, listen, if we had more privatized options when it came to alcohol sales, you would see stuff like this all the time.
Yeah.
It's weird to see it happening in the current setting where the government has complete control over all alcohol that's sold in the province. By the way, if you work in a bar, there's very strict restrictions on the type of promotions that you can offer. There's a lot of rules for licensees. That's why it's weird.
In advertising, too, we're extremely strict here.
Absolutely. You really can't incentivize the consumption of alcohol.
Yeah.
But when you're the beer store, can you? Because you're sort of above all of the establishments. This is a weird one for me. I'm not quite sure why we're doing this or what benefit it is, but free is free.
Sure. Yeah, well, people won't turn it down. I mean, why would you? If here's free KD, you could always donate it if you don't want it.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, hey, maybe this is a good bonus for the food bank. The thing is, how many people are choosing right now between a case of beer and dinner? Now you've got everything covered. Everything is covered for you right there.
Yeah.
Is there any more I want to do here? No. You know what? I think we're good. We'll leave it at that is happening right now. We will get to some DMs here on After 9, and then we will wrap it up for Wednesday with 2 more episodes coming your way later on this week. Do you want to start with your DMs?
Sure. Yes. I've got a bunch here. I'm just wondering what topic you want to start with. Just yesterday we were talking about nursing. I think I got the most about shift work, nursing. Specifically, we were talking about shift work because when we were talking about the nursing shortage, and you mentioned the amount of people that would have to graduate per high school from now until whenever in order to fulfill all of the nursing jobs that we'll actually need in this province. And it's insane, right? We need nurses. How do we make it more appealing was the topic that we were talking about. Mm-hmm. And one of the thoughts that I had was, what about scheduling in different hours? Do we need to have this as shift work the way it is? Can we rethink this? So a couple of good DMs on that. Some who agree, some who disagree. You're right about shift work, says this person. Honestly, I work corrections. We do 12-hour shifts as well. And the reason why? It's easiest to schedule. When an institution runs 24/7, 12-hour shifts are the easiest way to schedule shifts, vacations, and easier for coverage of sick shifts, etc. But you're totally right. Do you know how many people are single, for example, and own a dog? Yeah, doggy daycare is great, but not for every dog. Imagine a fantastic person who turns down a position because they don't want to work 12 hours. It's stupid. My point is people are just set in their ways and used to doing things, but life is different. So thank you for that. Brittany chimes in and says, in regards to what you and Scott talked about with PSWs being needed right now, the government is covering the cost of schooling for anyone who wants to take the course. This is actually great. So listen to what Brittany's in for right now.
Okay.
They're offering up to $5,400 in snipped payment for doing placement. Students have to do up to 336 hours to graduate, depending on what school they go through. Then after you graduate, the government gives new students who want to work in long-term care homes or community retirement places a $10,000 signing bonus and $20,000 if they're willing to relocate to a spot that needs long-term care, caregivers. You get to after 6 months and the other, got it. You get the first chunk after 6 months, the other chunk after a year. You have to be there at least a year. I'm currently completing my PSW course and will be graduating in a few weeks. When I'm done writing my final exam at the beginning of June, I'm a 35-year-old single mom who's going to be back to school, starting my new career very soon. That's great. First of all, Brittany, good for you going back to school. A single mom, 35 years old, couldn't have been an easy choice, but I think it'll be well worth it for you. And you know you have a job that you will always have as long as you want to, because it's so needed. But that's good to hear that the government's doing all those things.
It is. I'm curious, why would you want to get into that? As a PSW, I've heard nothing but stories of it, basically hell on earth. The working conditions, the pay, everything about it seems miserable. It's got to be a real calling, I guess, if you want to do it. I just can't see why many people would when apparently things are as bad as they are in the system.
Well, that's why you need those incentives. So I'm glad that those incentives are there. And it's not for everybody. You're absolutely right. It's not an easy job. It's a job where people should be making more than what they're making, in my opinion.
100%.
Angie says, listening to the pod regarding unattractive work shifts as nurses, somebody has to do overnights and unfavorable shifts. Unfortunately, it's the newbies doing it. Like almost all other professions, got to pay your dues. I agree. We need to make it appealing. The situation will only get worse. So if it can't be in shift work, I mean, the question remains what we're going to do with that. Did you have any nursing questions before we changed topics to capital gains or something else?
Okay, so I did have a number of nursing questions and comments, really. People are not that upset, from the ones that are messaging me anyway, about the current nursing situation. That situation being that a lot of nurses have migrated to private companies and they basically get contracted out by these companies. You go and work for them and, they might have you working at a nursing home here or an ER there, long-term care home over there.
Oh, okay. You kind of dabble in a little bit of everything.
Right. Apparently the pay is way better. The hours are more consistent and you can actually have a work-life balance. Whereas if you work specifically at a hospital or a long-term care home, you don't get a lot of flexibility. So I don't blame nurses for that. I know there's a lot of heat on some of these private nursing firms that are staffing these things, but whatever gets the nurse in the building. None of us wants to go to a hospital and find out there's no staff.
Yeah.
None of us wants to do that, especially when we have money to spend on this. We spend billions on healthcare. If it's not going to the frontline staff, where the hell is it going? It's not buying equipment. They fundraise for that. It's not paying rent. We own it. If it's not going to salaries for the frontline workers, where the hell is all the money going in this system? Mm-hmm. I don't get it. I really don't.
Yeah, but everybody does agree something needs to be done. Like, no matter where you stand on it in terms of like details, like schedules aren't it. It's got to be something else. Great, but something needs to be done. We need to change our mindset on it. I think that was the general consensus.
I think every day we get a little bit closer to people being more accepting of a two-tiered system. The two-tiered system being, yep, you can still go to the local hospital around you, or you can go to the walk-in clinic, or you can go to the doctor as you normally would, flash your health card, nobody will ask you for money. Or if you want to opt out of that system, then you can go to clinics where you can pay out of pocket money or a credit card. And you can get your MRI in an hour. You can get your ankle or knee surgery done in a week. There's people who are willing to pay.
Yeah,
and I know that that's the boogeyman. Apparently, Canadians vehemently oppose that. I think every day, more and more people are becoming open to that idea. Mm-hmm. Almost a hybrid between what the U.S. has and what Canada does.
Yep, totally agree. Can we move on to capital gains?
Yes, please.
So I got a couple DMs on this. I'm not going to read all of them because they were, unfortunately, similar stories, but we did get this one by text. Great podcast as usual. Capital gains issue is just terrible. My mom sold her cottage to pay for her care in a nursing home because she had Alzheimer's. She's long past now, but if it wasn't for her cottage, her good long-term care in her old age would not have happened. She was not a wealthy lady. She worked long, hard days to have that tiny cottage. Shame on Trudeau. And I heard a couple of stories similar to that where it's like, maybe they're not in that spot right now where they're like, yeah, I own a bunch of places, or someone I know owns a bunch of places, but they did. And they think, what if that was taken away from my loved one? What if they couldn't sell that property that they invested in and retire the way that they did? It doesn't seem fair to them now either.
I got one from Alex. Hey, Scott, listening to the podcast. Great job. I don't understand how anybody can't understand what Justin Trudeau is saying about the 1% or the 0.1%. It's absolute bullshit. Anybody who has any kind of vacation property, whether it's inherited or they invested in it, it's all going to be taxed like it's direct link to socialism. That's what it is. Take it from the haves and give it to the have-nots. It's absolutely ridiculous, and I hope people see it for what it is and vote this criminal government out. Okay, well, there's somebody who's quite angry.
We need an election first. Wouldn't that be good?
Wouldn't that be good?
Great? Yes. Yeah, but you're not the only one, texter, messenger.
When it comes to the capital gains, I really do feel for people because nobody has any time. It's kicking in on January 25th, and we don't even have the legislation yet.
June 25th, right?
June 25th.
Yeah.
So initially, this was proposed in the budget. For those who don't know, Chrystia Freeland pulled it out of the budget. Right now, there's nothing to say that capital gains are going up on June 25th. Nothing, because it was pulled out of the bill. They're going to put it as a standalone bill, and the reason for that is very simple. If they leave it in the budget, the Conservatives will say, we're not voting for that Liberal budget. It's a terrible budget. We're not voting for it. End of story. They want to make it a standalone issue because they want the Conservatives to say whether or not they oppose or support it, because they're trying to present it as we're taking money away from the 0.01% wealthiest Canadians and redistributing it to the youngest Canadians. Mm-hmm. They want the Conservatives to oppose that. And so far, Pierre Poilievre hasn't. I'm not exactly sure why. I certainly wish he and everybody else would, but they're going to make it a standalone bill so that he has to take a position on it. Somebody has got to step up and try and stop this because regular people are getting caught in the crossfire. This, again, they'll tell you it's for the 0.01% wealthiest Canadians, but it's actually a tax on the middle class. And people can't afford this shit right now. The amount of money they're taking from people, and now they're openly calling it a transfer of wealth. It's been going on for years, but now they're calling it what it is, and it's not fair. It's not right. And people don't have time to unload their properties or sell their business or whatever else it is that they've got to do. The capital gains, I got a lot of messages about that, a lot of sad stories, a lot of people with fairly unique circumstances.
Yeah. Thank you for those messages. Fun topic here before there's a couple more.
And then I've got some for you too.
Okay, great. This is a little fun. I was talking about just how busy my kids are right now. They're in this, that, and everything, and including in dance. I got a DM from a dance mom.
Oh.
Faithful After 9 listener and dance mom here. Competitive dance is a full-time, monumental commitment of your time, energy, and money. To be in competitive dance company, you start with mandatory basics, right? Ballet, jazz, tap. Ages 6 to 8, they're considered mini division, dance between 5 to 7 hours a week. And by the way, the more competitive, the longer it is. I can't believe that. My kids are in a class once a week, just to be clear here, until it's almost recital time. Then they got to go in 4 or 5 times that week leading up to it.
4 or 5 times?
Yeah, they got to practice for the recital.
NHL teams don't practice that much.
Maybe they should.
What the fuck?
Leafs. My daughter is 12 now, and we dance 12 hours a week.
Get out of here.
Yes. This year, she had 9 dances. Just wait till she gets to the money, Scott. Wait till she gets to the money. This year, she has 9 dances, okay? Competition season is March to May with the potential finals in July. You could have 3 to 4 competitions in a season. Remember I was telling you about my time? Selfishly, as a parent who's very busy with multiple things on the go, I'm like, how much time do I want to give here? She says it's insane. So this takes place over 3 days. Usually it's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They're long days. Your dances can be hours apart. And of course, there's the money aspect. Last year, I spent $20,000 on studio fees, competition fees, costumes, shoes, and hotel stays. $20,000. I wish someone told me about this before we got into it. However, watching my daughter dance is worth it. Watching her grow into a beautiful, graceful dancer brings tears to my eyes when I see her on stage. Absolutely. And nothing is more important than seeing your kids happy. But if you're warning me that it's going to be 5 to 7 hours a week minimum, and at a certain point, 12 hours a week, which her daughter does, and $20,000 a year, my kid better be a great fucking dancer that's going to make money off that one day for me to spend that much. Is that bad of me to say?
No. And you know what, though? I mean, the money that you might spend on dance is very similar to the money that AAA and AA hockey player parents are spending.
And I know there's totally, especially once they get into that competitive area. I have friends who have boys, plural, in hockey right now, and they have to divide and conquer because it's like one tournament's here, so dad takes one boy, she takes another boy, and they're spending way more than, I'll tell you, I'm not going to air out their business, but they're spending way more than that on competitive hockey. And I'm thinking, geez, good on you. Just as long as we can all agree, like, don't do it with expectations from your child.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
But they should be relatively certain. I mean, I don't know what the age would be. Maybe we use 12 as a cutoff. By the way, when my daughter, for example, was younger, we had her in everything. She was playing piano at 8 years old, and I thought, holy shit, I got another Mozart here. This is great. And then, 2 years later, I forgot for years that she even played piano. But at the time, it seemed like this is so important. We got to do this and foster this relationship with the Ivories.
Yeah.
And then, I had... she moved on to something else, and then something else, and then something else. And in the moment, everything seems very important. But you got to ask how serious the kid is before you commit to spending that kind of money. If you've got a kid playing AAA hockey, it's $10,000 a year. 10 grand.
Yeah.
10 grand.
This is what I mean too. Is
and if they're not serious about hockey, or, well, they also kind of like soccer and they play football and stuff, maybe don't go the AAA route until they've decided.
And I know we're not talking about this, but this is what I mean by don't have expectations for your child for that, though. What I can't stand, and still to this day pisses me off, is when anybody brings up how much money they spent on their kid thinking that they were going to be that next Mozart, thinking that they were going to be that next Connor McDavid, or thinking that they were going to be that next Serena Williams. Whatever the case is, you put that money in because you love your child, and in that moment, it makes them happy. Don't you dare turn around one day and be like, I spent so much fucking money on your shit. This is a choice that we make as parents. Never put that on the kid.
Yep.
Can we all agree with that? I know we can't because there's some fucking parents that do it, and it pisses me off. They are not here to please you or one day give you back everything that you gave them. That's not what it's about. My opinion.
Mm-hmm. I have an absolute ton of DMs about dandelions.
Still?
Yeah, I was going through my filter.
It's
fucked.
I tried to tell them to stop.
And maybe they did. Maybe this is how many came in after you told everybody to stop. But I do want to say that there was also a number of people who asked about the product that I bring back from the States that helps my lawn look as good as it does.
Just put it on my lawn last week.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
You'll see results soon.
I'm excited.
It was a very, very simple Scott's Weed and Feed. Scott's Weed and Feed. Now, you could go to a Rona, Canadian Tire, Home Depot, basically any of the stores around here, and see Scott's Weed and Feed. It's different in the States. In case you don't know, the Ontario Liberals banned pesticides years and years and years ago. And ever since then, we've had a big fucking problem with dandelions. When you use this stuff, you don't have a problem with dandelions. Other question I get is, are you allowed to bring it in? Yeah, Yeah, you're allowed to bring it in.
Yeah, you're allowed. It's just illegal to sell here. It's not illegal to actually have here.
Right.
Does that make sense to everybody?
You can't buy it here, but you can
can't
use it here.
buy it here, but you can use it here and bring it here.
Honestly, we're fucked.
It's
we're
weird.
Just a contradiction after contradiction.
I know, and it
It's so
sounds weird,
bad.
and it's weird and confusing because people think of it as like a drug. It's not. It's not. It's not deemed the same as drug. It's not. You cannot bring drugs across the border. You can't go to a pot shop here and bring it across the border. Weed and feed is a completely different animal, if you will. So yes, you could bring it across the border into Canada. It's no problem.
Another question. I put up a picture of my dog in the backyard after I opened the pool this past weekend.
Nice.
The dog loves those resort-style recliners. I think it's because they're mesh and he can get a little breeze under his tummy and stuff.
He's a big guy, too. He's not stretch out on that thing, right?
Big guy, for sure. Hey, Scott, crazy question. What kind of bushes are in your garden?
What kind of bushes are they?
But
they want to know about your bush.
Oh, yeah. Nobody's ever asked me that. And to be honest with you, they were there when I moved in. I can tell you those are actually full-blown trees. You only just see the bottom in the picture. And they're weird trees because they lose their leaves in the spring. So usually around March, all the leaves fall off. And then it grows new leaves, which stay up all the way through next winter.
Interesting.
A tree where the leaves fall in the spring. I'd never even heard of it. In fact, when I bought the place, I thought, well, they're all dead. I'm going to have to replace those in the spring. And sure enough, they came back and it was awesome.
Did you Google photo the tree?
You can do that now, can't you?
You can, yes, it's very easy.
Yeah.
Take an image and I bet you'll find it. So maybe we'll get back to that. Mm-hmm. We'll circle back to Scott's bush.
Another one on the capital gains. The capital gains Trudeau video, which drives me friggin' nuts, is how he talks to us like we're stupid.
Oh, I did get that DM too. Yeah.
He's so out of touch. It's true, actually. Whether it's Dr. Eileen Davila there or Justin Trudeau or any of those people, they talk to us like we're morons.
Yep.
And they always say things like, this is Trudeau's crutch. It's really, really important. Really important. He says that every time, even when it's not important or urgent or anything that we need to give a shit about in general.
Right.
I covered as many DMs as I could here. Thank you, everybody, but we're out of time. Yes, we get asked about this one all the time. When is Sandra going to be on again? When is Sandra from Diamond and Diamond Lawyers going to be on?
I know. She's kind of like a nice extension of the show in what she brings to the table here for After 9. Free legal advice, yes. Her opinion and her thoughts on trials that are happening. We're definitely going to have her on again. Maybe next week. How does that sound? She's so great, and Diamond, the whole crew there is great.
Yeah, I want to thank Diamond and Diamond because it's our relationship with them that allows Sandra to come on, and a lawyer's time is very expensive.
Yes,
but
it is.
We don't actually pay for that. So please,
they
everyone,
haven't charged us for it yet anyway. We've been getting away with it. She's lovely.
Unless the bill is coming.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. You can reach them at 1-800-567-HURT. Doesn't really matter what legal issue you have. I mean, they specialize in personal injury and things like that,
Yeah.
but they also have a real estate division if you're buying or selling a home. They've got lawyers that can do family law, criminal law, any number of things. Give them a call. They really are Toronto's law firm. And one of the things I like most about them is how committed they are behind the scenes to what they do. I mean, you don't hear about it very often, but every event I go to that's raising money for great causes, they've always taken out a table.
And they're there for you around the clock. That they truly are.
I didn't even know this. If you're injured and you are like actually bedridden, you've been in a car accident and, well, maybe not bedridden, you've been in an accident, you're hurt, blah, blah, blah. When they need to meet with you to discuss legal stuff, they'll actually send a car to pick you up, and it's a fully accessible vehicle to bring you right to their office for that meeting.
That's great.
And if you can't do that even, they'll come to you.
And
not a lot of lawyers do that.
Overall, their office is fun, too.
Oh,
you
shit.
follow them on Instagram at Diamond_lawyers. You see what I mean.
I had a great cognac there once. It was lovely.
Jeremy's office? Maybe.
It was Jeremy's office, actually.
Maybe.
I don't know whose office I was in.
Wait, I don't know what you're
talking
talking about.
They're clearly friends of ours as well. And thank you. We will get Sandra on next week. That's it. We got to go. Have a great hump day, everybody. We will see you back here tomorrow with another After 9. If there's something we did not get to in the DMs that you want to ask, feel free to follow up. Tomorrow's your day.
Go for it. Bye, friends.
Eggo is selling waffle-inspired sneakers for $150, which come in 2 styles inspired by Eggo: fully loaded chocolate chip brownie and strawberry delight. Fun fact, both of these shoes contain more nutrients than an Eggo waffle.
Seafood chain Red Lobster is struggling, and they just abruptly closed 99 of their restaurants around the country. The news is kind of shocking. Red Lobster was doing well. They were like, how are we closing? Meanwhile, Long John Silver's like, how are we still open?
The juice brand Welsh has recently announced that it's releasing 4 flavors of canned cocktails, including vodka cranberry and passion fruit mojito. Parents, be warned, they may look like they're for little kids, but these drinks are intended strictly for high schoolers.